Good morning, all. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the next important organelle in the important organelle of plant cell, that is plastid. Now, these plastids are important organelles as they have important role, and generally we call the plant are autotrophic, and plant synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and this photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast or and that is why the chloroplasts are important organelle. Including these chloroplasts are the color pigments, contains the color pigments, and these different colors add the beauty in our life. So the plastids are the important organelles which are responsible for different types of pigments, and these pigments are helpful for the plant in various properties, as well as the important process in plant cell, that is photosynthesis. The plastids are double membrane organelle, and they are found in plant as well as in algal cell, and they are responsible for manufacturing and storing the food. And they contains different types of pigments, and these pigments are responsible for various processes including the photosynthesis. The plastids are of various types: chloroplast, chromoplast, gerontoplast, and the leucoplast. Chloroplasts are green plastids, and they have role in photosynthesis. Like the chloroplast, which is a green pigment, in algal species, some of the algae are red colored, and this red color in the algae is because of the red colored chloroplast, and that is called as rhodoplast. There are muroplasts, and secondary and tertiary chloroplasts are also there in plants as well as in the algal species. Then the next one, chromoplast. So the chromoplasts are the colors other than green. So this color we observe in leaves as well as on the flowers. We observe different types of colors, and these colors are because of the chromoplasts. So these are the colored plastids. Gerontoplasts, these plastids have, including the pigment, these have role in important process in plants, and that process is called as senescence. Now the senescence is the early death or death after the maturity. So in some plant species, when the leaves are not required to the plant during the autumn, or in that case the leaves fall down, or sometimes when after aging the leaves are fall down, that process is called as senescence, and that gerontoplasts are responsible for the process of photosynthetic apparatus during the senescence. There are some other plastids which are colorless, and these plastids are called as leucoplast. Now these leucoplasts, they doesn't contain the pigment responsible for different coloration. Instead, these plastids have role in storing or storage of molecules like starch, fats, proteins, and the polyphenols are also called as tannins. In the leucoplast, there are four types of leucoplast. Amyloplast, this is responsible for starch storage. Ileoplast for storing fat. Proteinoplast for storing and modifying proteins, and tannosomes, these are for synthesis and production of tannins, are also called as polyphenols. So these are the different types of plastids: chromoplast, leucoplast, chloroplast, amyloplast, ileoplast, and proteinoplast. Among these, we are going to study in detail about the important organelle in plant cell, that is chloroplast. So these chloroplasts are green color containing plastids. These plastids are widely occurred in green plants. Shape of the chloroplast is different depending on the plant species as well as the algal species. They are filamentous, saucer shaped, spheroid, ovoid, discoid, star shaped, or ribbon shaped. Size of chloroplast is also varies depending on the species, and it varies from 2 to 3 mu in thickness and 5 to 10 mu long. Number also varies. In higher plants, the number of chloroplast per cell is 20 to 40, whereas in algae, sometimes in unicellular algae, the chloroplast may be one, or the number may be increased up to few. In the structure of chloroplast, it as like the other organelles, for example mitochondria. In mitochondria also we have studied the outer membrane or outer limiting membrane, and this membrane is double membranous and it is lipoproteinous in nature. So outer membrane and inner membrane is there, and in between these two membrane, in case of mitochondria it is intermitochondrial space, whereas in chloroplast also it shows similar structure. Limiting membrane or outer membrane, it is double membrane, trilamellar and lipoproteinous, and this membrane is semi-permeable in nature, so it allows the molecular interchanges through the membrane. In case of mitochondria also, the outer membrane is smooth and inner membrane shows infolding. Likewise, in chloroplast also, the outer membrane is smooth and the inner membrane is folded, and these foldings developed into a stroma. Each membrane is about 40 to 60 angstrom thick, and in between the outer and inner membrane there is periplastidial space. In case of mitochondria, it is intermitochondrial space or perimitochondrial space, whereas in chloroplast it is periplastidial space, and this space is of 25 to 75 angstrom. The next important structure of chloroplast, that is stroma, or the matrix or the fluid inside the inner membrane, and this fluid is watery, proteinaceous. This contains 50% of protein and other molecules. They also contains the ribosomes, DNA, starch granules and some droplets. The stroma, that is fluid, contains a disc-like, flat or pouch-like structures, and these structures are called as thylakoids. So thylakoid is important structure of chloroplast. So outer membrane, then inner membrane. Inside the membrane there is fluid, and that fluid contains a pouch-like, sac-like structures. These structures are like the coin of rupees, and these coins are placed one above the other and forms a stack of coin. So these are thylakoids, and these thylakoids again are of two types: stroma thylakoid and the grana thylakoid. Stroma thylakoid, that is the thylakoids which are present in the stroma region, and these thylakoids, the sac of thylakoid or stack of thylakoids are interconnected with the help of grana region or grana thylakoid. The outer surface of thylakoid is in contact with the stroma, and on the inner side it has a special structure, and that called as quantosomes. Now in a stroma region or in a grana region, it consists of series of discs packed back to back, and they are placed one above the other, and they provide pigments responsible for the process of photosynthesis. The chloroplast may contain 40 to 60 grana in the stroma region, and each grana region contains 10 to 100 disc-shaped superimposed compartments of thylakoid. On the inner side of the thylakoid, there is a special structure, plate-like structure, and this structure is called as quantosomes, and these quantosomes are responsible for photosynthesis process. So in general we call chloroplast is a region for photosynthesis, whereas when in particular we can call the quantosomes which are present on the inner side of thylakoid are the site of photosynthesis, because the quantosomes contains the pigments responsible for the process of photosynthesis. They are plate-like structures about 200 angstrom in diameter and 100 angstrom in thick. They are laterally arranged, and each of the quantosome comprises about 300 molecules of chlorophyll necessary for the process of photosynthesis. The functions of chloroplast, as we all know, the chloroplast has important function, that is, it is involved in the process of photosynthesis. They have a role in photorespiration, and also the several metabolic activities for the synthesis of fatty acid, membrane lipids, starch and hormones take place in the chloroplast. Chloroplast also serves as the defense for pathogen, and it is a cellular sensor. So in general, the chloroplast is important organelle which has the outer membrane, then inner membrane. Inner membrane encompass the stroma region. In the stroma region, the thylakoids are there. These thylakoids are stroma thylakoid and grana thylakoid. Thylakoids are pouch like sac like structure placed one above the other. This thylakoid, on the outer surface they are connected with the stroma region, and on the inner region it contains the quantosomes, and the quantosomes are the important region or component of the chloroplast which has the pigments responsible for the process of photosynthesis.